After being stabbed to death by Kivala, Menya Shi and Guang Xiahai traveled back in the past together. This time, they will be fully prepared and there will be no more tragedies to happen, and they will travel sweetly with Xiami Gan. Satisfy the wishes of Shixia CP. In the world of true swordsmen, Guang Xiahai silently believed that the warrior was not a destroyer, sitting in front of the door, just to say a welcome when he returned. When fighting Apollo Gaist, Guang Xiahai rushed forward without hesitation to block him and was absorbed of his life. In the end, Guang Xiahai personally stabbed Menya Shi to death. Although he was willing to die under her command, Guang Xiahai was filled with endless regret, no time travel, no system, slightly different personality from the original work. You can follow the author's new book Kamen Rider Wizard Fan, who is also a single female lead. Chapter 1. Death and Two Peoples Crossing. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Beside an abandoned factory, with bright sunshine and sunny weather, some tragedies happen in what should have been a beautiful environment. Why don't you avoid my attack? Guang Xiahai's eyes were filled with tears as she looked at the slender man in front of her and asked, her eyes filled with heartache. The man didn't speak after listening, but turned his head to look into the distance. His face was pale as paper, his lips were dry and cracked, his eyes were scattered, and his body was constantly trembling, as if he could fall at any moment. Her eyes were fixed on Menya Shi. At this moment, the armor of the Emperor's cavalry had been disarmed, and Shi spat out his blood and said, I'm sorry, Xiami Gan. I've destroyed so many worlds, and I deserve it. But being able to die in your hands is also my last happiness. No, you're not a destroyer. I believe you're being wronged. Xiahai's jade arm tightly embraced the Menya Shi. The world is shattered, time and space are reversed. Is this the end of tragedy or the beginning of happiness? Oh, my head hurts so much. Menya Shi woke up from a bench in a park with his head propped up. This scene is so familiar. In a valley, soldiers with purple lights emanating from their bodies and barcodes on their faces float in the air, surrounded by the corpses of various knights. Isn't this a knight's war? Guang Xiahai was dressed in a pure white long dress, but it was covered in stains and dust, and her pretty face was also covered in soil. She looked as if she had escaped from the countryside and was extremely embarrassed. Her hair was also disheveled, and her supposed smooth legs were covered in stains, looking very disheveled. By the way, this is the beginning of Shi's recent trip, and that's the deck. No, I need to wake up quickly and go find him. Guang Xiahai suddenly woke up from his dream and arrived at the door, where he saw dissatisfied guests. How did you take photos in your photo studio? They were all distorted, and that person. Who took these photos? Guang Xiahai suddenly didn't bother them much, pushed open the door at all costs and left a message. I will apologize to him to you. Come to the park as you remember. At this moment, it is the season of birds singing, flowers fragrant, and all things reviving. The air is filled with the fresh taste of soil and plants. Summer honey oranges. Menya Shi looked up, and sure enough, he still called me by the same name as before. Guang Xiahai didn't care, but instead showed a happy smile. Only he knew how to call me by this name. She had been with him day and night for so long, and it was quite familiar. Thinking of this, she walked with her long legs wrapped in orange stockings and pulled Menya Shi to a commercial building. Menya Shi is also confused. Isn't this the place where I first got the drive? After thinking for a moment, Menya Shi felt something was wrong. He didn't pull me back like before, nor did he use laughing fingers on me. What's wrong with this girl? Is that? Menya Shi has a bold guess. But he did not reveal anything. Xiami Gan, why did you bring me here? Menya Shi pretended to be puzzled and asked. This world is about to be occupied by monsters, and I will take you to find the power to resist them. Guangxia Haiyi frowned slightly. Sure enough, I've guessed 8 or 9 without leaving 10, but Menya Shi looked skeptical. In an inconspicuous corner not far away, a drive and card holder are placed there. Menya Shi's eyes flickered as he picked up the driver and card box. Suddenly, a wave of time and space shook, and a man stood in front of Menya Shi. To save this world, your power is indispensable, your drive and card are there, the man said calmly. Here, Menya Shi looked at him disdainfully and immediately transformed. Henshin came and ride decades. Several lines of light and shadow intertwined together. Hongdu was dumbfounded and said, "No, this shouldn't be." While he was still pondering about the script being incorrect, Menya Shi had already gone back. As soon as he returned, he saw Guang Xiahai being chased by the demon god. "Help me quickly, sir." Menya Shi watched this scene. Although it was something that had already happened, he became even more furious and transformed again. He didn't care about using the power of other knights and directly activated the war ghost form, which was to turn on the purple light. A punch hit the monster, holding Xiahai in his arms. He quickly came to the side of the mechanical 10th year, sat down, and hugged me tightly. Menya Shi remembered his past life and Xiahai's experiences, feeling a bit uneasy. Guang Xiahai, whose head was tightly pressed against Menya Shi's back, felt very strange. Why did this form appear so quickly? Finally, they returned to their peaceful home. Just by the photo studio, the people who had caused trouble before had already left. Guang Xiahai got off the car and walked into the door. "Now you believe me, right?" "Of course I believe it, and I also believe that Xiami Gan will become a Cayman rider in the future, causing me a lot of pain," Menya Shi chuckled lightly. "What, Shi, how would you know? Have you also been reborn?" Xiahai stuttered. Menya Shi pinched her soft cheek and said, "Fool, it's so obvious that I haven't noticed it yet." Menya Shi looked at her slightly red face with a playful expression. She suddenly thought to herself, "Why did you just activate that form?" Menya Shi did not answer her, but instead asked, "Are you still willing to accompany me on a trip, Xiami Gan?" She answered without hesitation, "Of course I do. What should I do if I want to destroy the world, or just stab me like before?" Menya Shi smiled and deliberately wanted to make things difficult for her. "I'm sorry, Shi, I didn't believe you before. How could you destroy the world?" Guang Xiahai suddenly burst into tears as she spoke. Shi looked at her and felt a little heartbroken, so he hugged her and gently stroked her hair. "Well, actually, I was also wrong. I should have told you everything, it was you whom I didn't trust for the time being." Guang Xiahai still looked at him with guilt. "Alright, you are willing to block your body in front of me and be drained of your vitality. I should have told you everything long ago," said the scholar with a guilty expression. "How do you remember such a long time?" Guang Xiahai burst into tears and smiled. "I can still live like you, Xiami Gan, of course, as long as you don't mind, this will always be your home. Guang Xiahai is still the same as before. Can you always believe in me and always be by my side? I promise you, but don't hide me anymore." Guang Xiahai looked at Shi directly. Shi looked at her curvaceous figure and thought to himself, "Can I stay in your room?" Menya Shi, don't take any further steps. Guangxia smiled and gestured zen. Guang Xiahai hugged her arms and was full of anger. "Ha ha ha, Xiami Gan, ha ha, I'm just joking, ha ha ha." Menya Shi couldn't bear this and couldn't help but burst out laughing. After a moment, Menya Shi's smile stopped. "Actually, it's not impossible," Guang Xiahai muttered softly, her face flushed as if dripping blood. The atmosphere gradually became strange and warm, and the scholar couldn't help but want to kiss his red apple-like cheek. Suddenly, an old man broke the warmth and said, Xiahai, it's not good. I just woke up and realized that the world had been attacked by monsters." "Hey, what are you doing?" "Grandpa!" Guang Xiahai exclaimed discontentedly. "What's the matter?" Koichiro expressed confusion. Suddenly tripped over something. The curtain opened and a strange mountain appeared on the screen. The first stop of Menya Shi's new journey is about to begin. Chapter 2. Empty Self-Battle, Kivala appears early. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Menya Shi pushed open the door of the photo studio and found himself dressed as a police officer. The weather is sunny and the wind is sunny. Across from the photo studio is the strange mountain, where the forest is lush and lush. Attention all units, please note that unknown life forms have been found in the North Second Warehouse. The subject of this operation is the corresponding personnel of the Unknown Life Form Department of the police station. Please cooperate and be careful not to approach the unknown life form. The police station will announce the end of the broadcast. Several police cars rushed by, and one of them led by a female police officer. Confirmed as unknown life form number 7, is Xiongjie ready? The policewoman raised her gun at the monster. Menya Shi took out those few cards, and he could clearly feel the power of the empty self card surging, followed by Xiami Gan. Don't wander around. I've noticed that these cards are no longer disposable, and besides, I also have a purple light form. Don't worry. Xiami Gan seemed to have something to say, just pursed her lips. Be extra careful, I know now, hurry back and remember not to run around. Menya Shi looked at her and didn't know what he was thinking in his heart. Without saying much, he went out at this moment. Onadaiji Nobusuk rushed up and made a movement to transform into an empty self. Transformation, a knight with a bright red body and 2 yellow horns appearing in my all-around form. At this moment, the 8th generation police officer was being held hostage by a strange person. As soon as he went up, he punched and repelled the strange person, then kicked him with a flying kick and knocked him down. Unknown life form number 4 has appeared. Attention all units, attention all units. Menya Shi rushed forward, but did not change his form. He directly punched back a strange person with his physical body, and the 8th generation police officer pulled him, saying, "It's very dangerous here, don't get close, go quickly." Menya Shi broke free from her hand and transformed, taking out a magenta knight card, throwing it into the drive, and then taking out another card mask driving, empty me immediately. It turned into the appearance of unknown life form 4, and the 8th generation police officer was dumbfounded. How come there are 2 unknown life form 4? Divide the conversation into 2 ends, one for each end. Guang Xiahai's mind was very confused. She felt that I shouldn't just sit and wait for death. Sure, this time I will fight alongside you. She calmed down and walked towards Menya Shi. I remember Kivala followed us from the beginning. Where was she? There were no other people in this place except for Menya Shi and others in front. Guang Xiahai came up with a solution and quickly took out a sachet from his pocket and placed it on the ground. In my past life, this was Yaolin's favorite scent, and I don't know if it still works now. Sure enough, a bat with a strange appearance flew over, and Guang Xiahai immediately caught it. Well, you're the girl next to you, the destroyer. Shut up. Shixia is not a destroyer, Xiahai frowned. He was just wrongly accused. Come on, what are you doing to attract me with this thing? Kivala chuckled coquettishly. Can you help us? Why? Kivala was puzzled. After all, you don't have a direct conflict with us, and I also have food with a similar odor. How can I answer, yes or no? Okay. But I only sign contracts with women, and your health is too poor. The only way to transform is. What is it? Tell me quickly, no matter what the conditions are, I will agree, Guang Xiahai said solemnly. You have to bear a lot of pain and take on my strength. Guang Xiahai pondered for a moment and agreed. I'll tell you in advance that if you can't bear it, you can stop. If you force the contract, your body will explode. The girl who looked at the strange bat had a resolute gaze and a slightly serious expression. I must become a Kamen Rider. When necessary, I will use my own life to protect you, and I can also protect myself, so that you don't have any worries. Number 34, Guang Xiahai thought so. Then, her expression turned relaxed again, as if she had unloaded some heavy burden. All right, I got it. Let's start quickly. The purple energy of I bite slowly injects into the body of Guang Xiahai. No, I have to hold on. After many hours, the energy transfer is complete. Well, it's strange that such a fragile body can withstand the full power of Kivala. Guang Xiahai felt his soul being invaded by a tearing pain, as if he had lost everything. Can I transform now? Immediately, Guang Xiahai held Yalan and placed it on his wrist. Henshin, purple petals kept emerging, and a set of armor appeared on the body. Kamen Rider Kivala appears. Menya Shi was still fighting against Congo and the unknown life form when suddenly, a purple light kicked the unknown life form. Xiami Gan, why are you here? Have you found Kivala? Menya Shi punched the unknown life form number 8. Transforming into emptiness, my Onodera Nobusuk thought of me fighting for so long and not encountering any of my kind. Why are there so many occurrences today? After all, there is only me, the Kamen Rider, in this world. Not just to help you, Guangxia Haiyi summoned the Yalan army blade and struck the unknown life form number 7. After the unique transition of Dongying, 3 Kamen Riders and unknown life forms, number 7 and number 8, fought in a warehouse. Boom! After 2 explosions, number 7 and number 8 were eliminated. Sister, did I transform well today? Yosuke Onodera boasted to the 8th generation police officer as if inviting him. It's still okay, the 8th generation police officer nodded helplessly. At this time, Menya Shi and Guangxia Haiyi also released their transformation. Menya Shi, you've been in the police station for so long, I didn't even know you could transform. Menya Shi didn't say much, he just said one sentence. Their target was the female police officer, and then they punched the nose bridge of the 8th generation police officer. There should be no problem now. Menya Shi said calmly and naturally, hey, why are you hitting my sister? Trans, Onodera Yusuke was very angry. Don't worry, their goal won't be the 8th generation anymore. Winky face. Chapter 3. Unexpected Combat. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Where's the girl you're walking with? Asked 8th generation Blue, who returned to the police station. You said Xiami Gan, she said she wants to stroll around this world. After speaking, Menya Shi glanced askance at Onodera Yusuke. Hey, you're still angry. To be honest, the monsters you call unknown life forms are called Galanki, and their purpose is to collect the blood of female warriors as sacrifices to summon the ultimate darkness. However, as long as I let her bleed beforehand, she won't be their target, said Menya Shi to Xiongxia and Yadai. Wait, it's not right, it seems a bit wrong, said Menya Shi in a daze. Hey, what's wrong? Onodera Yusuke also calmed his anger at this moment. 8th generation, concentrate the police force on the police station. Xiongxia will come out with me, said Menya Shi, pulling Onodera Xiongxia out in a panic. Xiami Gan, you must not worry. Menya Shi thought to himself. Yes, female warrior. Isn't Guangxia Si now also a female warrior? Originally, Guangxia Si was not their target in history, but now it has become a target of public criticism. Dark clouds enveloped the sky of Dengyong Mountain, making the entire world appear extremely dim. Lightning bolts sliced through the sky, illuminating most of the night sky. Number 34, boom. Number 34, a loud noise came from a distance, and in the center of this lamp-melting mountain, a group of Galanki appeared. Number 34, roar. Number 34, waves of monster roar came from afar. Guangxia Haiyi fought desperately against the siege of the Galanki, but she was ultimately defeated. Number 34, your blood is important, I want to turn you into the ultimate sacrifice, calling for the ultimate darkness. Ha ha ha. Number 34, the Galankis laughed wildly. But their language cannot be understood by Xia Hai. One hand grabbed the shoulder from the back. Guang Xiahai stiffened all over, knowing that she was finished. Sorry, Shi, I didn't expect to get stuck in this for the first stop of my trip. She turned her head and couldn't believe it was a pleasant surprise. Clock up, is Kabuto's timing upgrade. Sure, you came to save me. Guang Xiahai happily hugged his arm. Why are you so careless? The Emperor's cavalry turned into an armored battle, waving 100 insect sword, and I quickly cleared the way. This man is actually a decade. Sigh, let's forget about it. Let's defeat these Galanki first before we can talk about it. I didn't know before that Menya Shi turned into a warrior and was an imperial cavalry, Onodera Yosuke thought to himself. Guang Xiahai wielded his Kivala sword and slashed towards each Galangi. The emperor wielded 100 insect sword, like chopping melons and vegetables, before transforming into a green dragon form. He picked up a branch on the ground and turned it into a green dragon stick, confronting the Galangi behind him. Finally, after a long battle, these besieged Galanki were resolved. Menya Shi, it's your turn now. So you're the decade, the demon that destroys the world. Ono looked at Menya Shi with a grim expression. Stop it, Yusuke Onodera. He's not a destroyer, he won't destroy the world, said Kobayashi, blocking his body in front of Menya Shi. Summer Honey Orange, if you don't listen to me anymore, I will punish you. I don't need your protection, only my share of protecting you. But she remained indifferent and tightly blocked in front. This matter originally had nothing to do with you, but if you insist on protecting this demon, then I can only defeat you together. My Skyhorse crossbow arrow hit Kivala. Menya Shi is angry Cayman ride phase starting the 10-second acceleration, one punch after another landed on Kono. Onodera Yusuke was hit with no fighting power, and with a heavy punch, he was thrown into a transformation state. Yusuke vomited blood and fell to the ground. Xiami Gan, let's go. Then, he picked up Xiami Gan's jade hand. Sure, did you hit him too hard? After all, he is also our partner, Xiahai worried in her heart. It's okay, that just looks serious. In fact, he didn't suffer multiple injuries at all. It's just a lesson for him. As the evening approached, the glow of the setting sun dyed half of the sky red, and the earth was shrouded in a fiery red, as if it were burning. Menya Shi helped Guang Xiahai back to the Light Photography Museum. We're back now, Xiahai, what's wrong with you? Grandpa Guang put down his teacup and looked at them. Why are you so badly injured? Grandpa, this. I really can't tell you this, please don't ask again. Okay, don't ask, why are young people like this now? Menya Shi helped Xiahai into her room, picked up the medical kit, lifted her clothes, exposed her snow-white and tender skin, and carefully wiped her wound. The sergeant let out a sigh. Xiami Gan, you were too reckless today. Although you gained the power of Yalan, you almost died. Why are you so persistent in fighting? You even said I was reckless. Even if I explained well, there was no need to fight and I insisted on intensifying the conflict. Guang Xiahai's pretty face turned red as she watched the man carefully wipe it off. Chapter 4. Confession and Warm Daily Life. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Why are you always willing to stand in front of me? Menya Shi looked at her helplessly. I just want to, you just consider me stupid. Guangxia Haiyi lifted her watery eyes. You probably didn't like me, that's why you agreed to protect me. Shi playfully smiled and carefully bandaged her wound. Who would like you? This arrogant, stubborn, and secretive guy, was poked into her heart, and Guang Xiahai stuttered in response. As the night deepened, there was silence outside the window, with only moonlight shining through the gaps in the leaves and the windows onto the floor, forming mottled shadows. You like me pretty much, I'm so angry and crazy when I'm injured, Guang Xiahai mustered up courage and countered. Since that's the case, I don't like your rudeness and irritability, and you always like to poke me with a smile and Zen. Shi didn't give up at all. Guang Xiahai blushed and nodded at the scholar with a smile. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. I can't say it. Ha ha ha, ha ha. Just use this move. The soldiers' laughter broke the silence of the night. Subsequently, both of them lowered their heads and didn't say a word. Alright, I know what you're thinking. To be honest, I still have a little crush on you, be my boyfriend. Without hesitation, Guang Xiahai took the initiative to go up. Really, a big man made me take the initiative, Guang Xiahai muttered disdainfully in a low voice. Menya Shi was touched by her words and did not give up, so he made a bold move. What are you, what are you? Guang Xiahai was kissed and couldn't breathe. Lips are tightly attached to each other, and it takes an unknown amount of time for them to separate. The soft and delicate touch, along with a faint fragrance, calmed Menya Shi's anger today. I'll reluctantly agree to you, Shi said with a nonchalant expression. Since I am already your girlfriend, you should also tell me everything. In my past life, there were some things that I was still confused about. Guang Xiahai went straight to the point. Okay, who made you so persistent and so determined to pursue me? ****I Shi. Guangxia Haiyi poses with a smile and points to Zen. In fact, my parents were originally researchers at the Major Repair Card, but they were sentenced to death for stealing the Emperor's cavalry drive because of my talent for crossing the world. So why did you become the leader of the Great Repair Card? Xiahai was very puzzled. Because my dimensional wall talent was recommended after my parents were killed. After all, there were already Showa knights in that world. They wanted to find a world where no Cayman knights existed to occupy, so I became the leader of the Major Repair Card because the old leader disappeared at that time and was actually just a puppet. Menya Shi chuckled to himself. My grandfather. Guangxia Customs asked eagerly. At that time, there was an internal turmoil in the Major Repair Card. Your grandfather used my ability to store his genetic code and cast it into another world, which is the world you grew up in. Well, you can understand it as reincarnation, and you are really Dr. Death's granddaughter. Menya Shi stroked her soft long hair and smiled lightly. So the dream you had before was just Dr. Death's intentional guidance. Why do they want you to travel through so many worlds? They want to provoke conflicts between me and other knights, so that I can use my abilities to rule other parallel worlds. However, when the Great Repair Card organization had already achieved their goals, I pretended to agree to be their leader and then destroyed the world that had already been ruled by the Great Repair Card. What about Haidong and Minglong? Guang Xiahai continued. Haidong is just the new butler of our family. He was picked up by the old butler before, but he still betrayed me and stole the DN drive. Minglong is Colonel Zor of the Major Repair Card, but he has always had ulterior motives. These are all our backgrounds, do you understand? I roughly understand, Guang Xiahai chuckled mischievously, learning his past life's catchphrase and nodding. So you really don't have to feel guilty about stabbing me in your past life, because as long as I die, erase my history, and the Night War won't happen. The world that was fused by those Major Repair Cards using my abilities will be separated and won't be ruled by them anymore, Menya explained to himself, but you are still dead. Guangxia Haiyi felt unwilling. As a Cayman rider Kivala who is not included in knightly history, you will be passed down as a new knightly history, and then with the bond between you and me, I will be resurrected again. But I still think it's unlikely, it's too risky. Guang Xiahai is still worried. No problem, but after all, this is a past life. After all, we have all been reborn, and the current history is different. Upon hearing this, I finally closed my beautiful eyes with peace of mind. In the light of the sea the bright moon hangs high, and everything is quiet. The cool night breeze brushes against the heavy fallen leaves on the earth, rustling and rustling. The night is deep, and a bright moon hangs on the pitch-black and boundless sky. Menya Shi quietly looked at Guangxia Haiyi's lovely sleeping face, his gaze sweeping over her delicate and graceful body. By a stroke of fate, her hands had already landed on her slender legs, wearing pink stockings. I didn't realize before that Xiami Gan was quite beautiful, especially with these legs. Menya Shi's infatuated gaze fell and he couldn't help but caress his soft skin, adding a touch of temptation to the stockings. Ah, what are you doing? I just found out I look good now. Guang Xiahai squinted her eyes hazily. Ah, Xiami Gan, so you haven't slept yet, said Menya Shi awkwardly. Who can sleep with your touch like this? Guang Xiahai angrily grabbed Menya Shi's hand. Why didn't I think you were so dishonest before? Menya Shi still awkwardly did not pick a fight. It's already late at night, hurry back to your room to sleep, Guangxia Haiyi pushed the door to Yanshi. He felt a surge of anger now and was unwilling to leave. How about I make do with your bed for the night? Menya Shi smiled wickedly. Upon hearing this, Xiahai's face was already hot and burning, so he agreed for some reason. Shi Yan crawled into her bed, hugged her slender waist, kissed her soft and rosy cheeks, and pressed his chest tightly against her round and swollen chest, ready to explore further with his hands. Guang Xiahai suddenly came to his senses and said, "You can touch my leg, but you can't go any further." Okay, I promise you, if you're so proactive today, I'll give you a surprise gift tomorrow." Menya Shi hugged her and fell asleep with a restless and passionate heart. The rising sun illuminates the earth. A gentle breeze brushed past, bringing a slight coolness. Menya Shi rolled over on the bed and reached out to touch the delicate body next to him. The warm and familiar embrace had already turned into hands embracing his neck, stockings and long legs resting on his body, and a cute little head resting on his chest. "Just sticking it tighter, didn't do anything, Ashi, don't leave me, don't leave," Guang Xiahai muttered, tears streaming down her closed eyes. He rubbed his eyes, sat up, and reached out to lift the blanket out of bed. Just took 2 steps and found that Mr. Guang was preparing breakfast. "Old man, let me help you with it." "Hey, what's going on today? It's strange." "No, I thought I saw him coming from the direction of Xiahai's room just now, right?" Suddenly, something came to my mind and I looked at the gatekeeper with a relieved and happy expression. Menya Shi thought about last night's warmth and became even more determined to protect her. Today is the day to do the right thing, and according to the time, Minglong's first use of the dimensional wall is coming. With my current strength, as long as I touch the dimensional wall again, my ability will be restored. Menya Shi didn't pay attention to Guanrongjiro's gaze. Guang Xiahai also woke up and found that his injury had healed. Did the power of Yalan yesterday enhance my recovery ability? Stepping out of the room, I found Menya Shi sitting at the dinner table, wondering what he was thinking. "Sure, come out with me for a moment," Guangxia said as he pulled up Menya Shi's hand in front of the sea. "What's wrong?" Stepping out of the house, her eyes turned sour and she started crying, saying, "Can you please don't leave me out when we welcome you at the major repair card? Even if it's acting, I don't accept it. I want to be with you all the time. Don't worry, I'm really going to become the leader this time. I have a plan to reorganize the Great Repair Card into a just organization, and I'm the leader. You're the leader's wife." Upon hearing this, Guang Xiahai finally calmed down and the two of them returned to the table. Guang Xiahai's eyes were red and embarrassed. "Menya Shi, come out with me again," Grandpa Guang said to himself as he saw this scene. That little scholar, Guang Xiahai, is indeed a child with many shortcomings. "I hope you can help and take care of her, so I can rest assured to hand it over to you," said Guanrongjiro's with a serious tone. "Don't worry, I will definitely not disappoint her and keep her happy." Returning to the dining table, they were still the same person, but the atmosphere was completely different, gradually forming a family-like appearance. Pushing open the door, "Xiami Gan, have you really recovered from your injury? You insist on following me." Menya Shi held Guang Xiahai's hand. "Of course it has recovered. Let's go quickly. We need to go find Anadeji and Hakadai, and I'm really okay." Guang Xiahai patted his chest, which was not small, and pulled Menya Shi forward. Chapter 5. Hell Brothers, Black Mist. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The whereabouts of Galangji have been discovered, and the police station is preparing to deploy. Onodera Yusuke followed 8th-generation police officer to a valley in Dengyong Mountain. As he walked, he said, "Xiongjia, you were too reckless yesterday. How could you have injured an innocent person?" 8th-generation Blue's reproachful words rang out, "Even if what that mysterious person said is true, but the Emperor's cavalry has not yet taken any action to harm the world, you cannot act casually." "I'm sorry, sister. It was me who acted impulsively, and what if that mysterious person was lying to me? Yosuke Onodera responded apologetically. Super Henshin. With a sound effect, Yusuke Onodera reached out and posed, then transformed into an empty self, and then transformed into a green dragon form. At this moment, Menya Shi and Guang Xiahai joined hands and came here, and they also transformed one after another. Ah! Onodera Yusuke felt a sharp pain in his mind, and the mysterious man's words echoed in his mind like brainwashing, as if guiding him to eliminate the Emperor's cavalry. As soon as I saw the Emperor's cavalry, I swung my green dragon staff and fought against him to a point. The Menya Shi was also not inferior and took out his armor battle card. Kamen Ride Kabuto attack ride clock up still super accelerating, a punch fell on me. It seems that Onodera Yusuke is being controlled by something. No, we can't just subdue him first, thought Menya Shi to himself. Decade, this world will be your ultimate tomb. A middle-aged man wearing glasses waved a dimensional wall and summoned two knights, Fist Locust and Kick Locust. Alas, there are also knights here, big brother. This is exactly what Yenche wants to do with Ingshan Shun, Xia Haiju, please help me hold him down first. Menya Shi shouted to Guang Xiahai. Well, okay, upon hearing this, Guang Xiahai immediately transformed into a Kamen rider named Yalan, gripping Yalan's sword and facing the green dragon staff. In the past life, Guangxia CP has also transformed into Yalan and has some combat experience. Moreover, I have already been exhausted by Imperial cavalry, so now I can also play chess to match my opponent and hold on for a period of time. The Emperor's cavalry quickly touched the level of the elemental wall, and something was about to awaken in his mind. Suddenly, transparent spatial forces flooded into the body of the Emperor's cavalry. Big brother, can't we go back? Ingshan said foolishly. Menya Shi's evil charm smiled and said, even if you can't see it after transformation, if you want to go back and fight me first, I'll wait until I have your strength. Bang! For the Hell brothers, the Menya Shi who has gained all his strength is the true Hell. 3 strikes and 5 divisions put them all in a transformation state. So strong. Yenche wanted to sigh. Whoosh! Whoosh! A few streams of light flew out, and these were the fake face control and attack control cards of Fist Locust and Kick Locust. It seems that after crossing time, my abilities have undergone a mutation. The dimensional wall should be able to merge with the card to achieve the effect of summoning a knight as a final rider. Although my strength cannot be compared to the complete version of the main body, the remaining consciousness is only combat instincts, which can also be evenly matched with the main body. Oh, it seems that there are still many functions. Menya Shi thought of this. Quickly went to help Guang Xiahai, casually waved the dimensional wall, and sent the Hell brothers back. Xiami Gan, I'm here to help you. The Menya Shi, who restores all his strength, is very powerful. Attack ride inflation. After the clone, 5 Imperial riders each hacked towards Kongo. Kongo released his transformation, and Onodera Yusuke immediately fainted. Well, it feels like the power of the empty self card has become stronger, it should be able to catch up with the original 5th generation Xiongxia. And it can also summon the ultimate attack control in the absence of the player. At this moment, a roar came from the front, followed by a burst of dust and smoke rolling. A tall and powerful, giant beast like Galangi walked out of the black mist. Its big copper bell-like eyes. At this time, the city has been shrouded in this huge black mist. Cover your mouth and nose quickly, and try not to have any contact with the outside world in the future. Guang Xiahai quickly pulled up the 8th generation police officer and led the other police officers to quickly evacuate. Ha, we finally saved them. Guang Xiahai shook her jade arm. Hey, sure, you can fight to your heart's content now. This should be the king of Galanki, right? Menya Shi made a decisive decision and took out a card from his pocket, taking out a card and flipping it into the drive. Fatal attack ride Kuga. In an instant, it turned me into a huge mechanical shovel-shaped worm. Before it could speak, Menya Shi stepped on the mechanical shovel-shaped bug and kicked the king of Galanki, boom. A huge explosion. At this moment, Onodera Yusuke also woke up and said, "Kuma nasa, Shi, and thanks to you for saving my sister, arigato. Xiongxia, don't be reckless anymore. You also have a sister who can accompany you well. You shouldn't be your own siblings, right?" For some unknown reason, Onodera Yusuke blushed and admitted to this fact. "Alright, goodbye. Maybe next time you come back, you'll really get her approval." I don't know exactly what Menya Shi is talking about. But Yusuke Onodera still nodded. The problems in this world have finally been solved, and we can move on to the next world, Summer Honey Gone. Sure, have you forgotten something? Guang Xiahai's face changed and he bulged up, looking almost angry. Alright, you go home and wait. I'll be able to bring back the surprise soon, Menya Shi replied with a smile as she looked at her cute expression. Menya Shi arrived at a bustling street, bustling with people and bustling with commerce. He looked around and finally found his target. So here, I said, even in the year 2000, there should have been a dedicated store for this thing. As for where did Menya Shi get the money? Of course, it was a bonus given to him by the police station, which was a whopping 500,000 yen. Add a setting where the purple lamp form of the Gate Arrow Warrior has the same level of strength as the dangerous plate machine, which will also become stronger later, and will not lose its sanity. If it is a knight summoned by him, only 90% of the original knight's strength will be replicated. If it is a knight transformed by him, 100% of his strength will be replicated. Chapter 6. So BT. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Menya Shi sneaked into this mysterious shop. Hey, there are still quite a few people here. Is this kind of thing very popular now? Menya Shi thought to himself as he stepped into the store and glanced at the stockings inside. It was indeed stockings. It seems that she can satisfy her interests and hobbies well today. The author roast. Don't you want to see it? Looking at the dazzling array of colorful stockings, Menya Shi chose a dazzling array of white, black, purple, yellow, long, medium, and connected ones. With all sorts of options, Menya Shi chose over 100 pairs of stockings, saying, "You can wear enough summer tangerines now." At this moment, a person with a lewd expression quietly walked up to Menya Shi. "Brother, I have some good health here. Would you like to take a look?" Menya Shi was very confused, so he pushed away his hand and asked, "Who are you?" "I am the owner of this store." Looking at the customers, "You must have some special needs when you come to buy so many stockings. I have more interesting things here, please come with me to take a look." Following the boss's footsteps, he saw the boss rotate the painting on the wall, and Menya Shi saw a hidden door appearing in an inconspicuous corner. "Follow me," the boss whispered, pushing open the door. Menya Shi seemed to have opened the door to a new world. I saw that the secret room was filled with all kinds of clothing, including maids, nurses, flight attendants, and handmade women's clothing, but it was different from normal clothing. Menya Shi saw the props on the ground. "Hey, what is this? Whips, handcuffs, candles, what are these things for?" Menya Shi is even more puzzled. The boss leaned over his ear and whispered a lot to him. Menya Shi felt a bit frustrated, but he still managed to buy these things by a stroke of luck. After coming out, Menya Shi wanted to cry without tears, and all the money rewarded by the police station was spent. Returning to the photo studio, Menya Shi headed straight to Guang Xiahai's room. "Hey, young man, although young people have a lot of energy, they still need to be restrained," said Kagoro Jiro with a long focus. "Summer honey citrus sauce, this is the surprise for you," he said as he handed the shopping bag in his hand to Guang Xiahai. "Oh, this nickname is so meaty, wow, so many." Guang Xiahai opened the packaging with surprise, then felt a wave of embarrassment and anger. Who would give a girl a gift with a pile of stockings? Guang Xiahai pouted, with dimples on her face. "I remember in my past life, I always saw that you could change into different colors of stockings, and I think you would like it," said Menya Shi helplessly. Menya Shi was fascinated by the slender legs and graceful body of Guangxia Haiyi wearing yellow stockings, and then looked at her exquisite and flawless face. His Adam's apple rolled a few times, and he couldn't help but imagine what it would be like to wear those strange clothes. Guang Xiahai looked at Menya Shi with a strange expression in front of her and shook her jade hand in front of her. Ashi, what's wrong? She deliberately changed her name. Menya Shi didn't pay attention and reached deep into the bag, not knowing what he was looking for. I think you like to watch it. To be honest, Ash, I always feel that after being reborn, you have changed a lot. You didn't even care about these things before, but I think it's a good change. I really like it. Her cheeks turned red again, and her eyes were unconsciously shrouded in mist. Her silent shyness was as if someone had stolen a delicious fruit. Ashi, are you really listening to me? Guang Xiahai became angry. Ah, I found it. Menya Shi took out those strange props and clothes. After seeing it, Guang Xiahai couldn't help but say, why have you become so abnormal now? Looking at those things in front of her, she felt a bit incredulous. Hurry up and hide it, don't let your grandfather see it. Menya Shi said with a guilty heart. How come? If you have the courage to buy, but not the courage to show it to others. Guang Xiahai shrugged and sneered disdainfully, saying, winky face. Menya Shi felt that I was going to fight back and couldn't let this girl hold on to me. I remember in your past life, you also changed into various types of stockings. Tell me, who bought them for you? And who did you want to show them to? Menya Shi calmly changed the topic. What's wrong? Are you jealous? You've learned to be jealous, you've really changed a lot. Guang Xiahai was once again surprised, and then deliberately said with a smile, I'm wearing it for the sea. Menya Shi expressed doubt but still felt a bit angry. You. Without further ado, she immediately placed her hand on Xiahai, like a lively earthworm that made her burst into laughter. I really hate it. In my past life, I bought those stockings myself. As for who to wear them for, don't you still know in your heart? I have been with you day and night in my past life, and I didn't wear them before. It wasn't until half a year ago when you first crossed the road that I started this habit. And when you traveled through the world, why did I follow you wholeheartedly? But you never understood my intentions. Guang Xiahai explained wrongly. Okay, I believe you, said Menya Shi with a touch of emotion, and then he playfully smiled, since you like me so much, why not try this maid costume? I'm dying, you. I won't wear these clothes even if I die. Guang Xiahai turned his head, but first came a smirk and hit Menya Shi's neck. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, Omega, hiya hiya hiya. Menya Shi couldn't stop laughing. Chapter 7. Elegant Prince. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Come and have dinner now. Mr. Guang's gentle voice reached the ears of Guangxia Haiyi and Menya Shi. Upon hearing the sound, the two stopped fighting. Yes, Ash, I learned a famous Chinese dish today. I hope you like it. Guang Xiahai pulled up Menya Shi's hand and immediately ran into the kitchen. Guangxia Haiyi took a gentle step and said, give it a try. Number 34, Guang Xiahai brought the freshly prepared dishes to Menya Shi's mouth with a smile on his face. Picked up chopsticks and picked up a piece of fish meat. Upon hearing this, Menya Shi opened his mouth and ate the food. After chewing a few times, he nodded and said, not bad, the taste is decent. Number 34, then eat more. Number 34, Guang Xiahai said with great anticipation. This dish is called squirrel mandarin fish, and when I made it, I thought it would be very delicious. Gloria's second brother looked at the warm two in front of him, and a wave of relief surged in his heart. It was night, and Menya Shi entered Guangxia Haiyi's room again. Let's just say it's okay, I can't go any further. I'm still not ready, said Guang Xiahai with a shy blush on her face. Menya Shi nodded in agreement, knowing that it was not appropriate to force at this time. He just wanted to be alone with her. Menya Shi held her in his arms, and Guang Xiahai held Menya Shi's hand. She gently touched her, as if touching the most precious treasure in the world. Number 34, what should I do? Can we move you, truly clear your fears, and make you willingly accept them? Menya Shi thought to himself. The next morning, Menya Shi walked out of the room and walked into the living room. Xiao Shi, did you wake up so early? The sound of Master Guang's kind words resounded, yeah, Grandpa. Grandpa. Menya Shi changed his name unnaturally. Guangrong Xian was obviously startled by this title, and his leg stumbled on something. He fell backwards and opened the curtain with ease. Menya Shi quickly grabbed him with his quick eyes, and then his gaze fell onto the screen. I saw a castle-style dragon painted above, flying with wings between the clouds. Pushing open the door, Guang Xiahai ran over and caught up with him at some point. On the distant horizon, it was the Draco Castle Dragon. Ashi, history hasn't changed at all. You're still dressed like a waiter. Guang Xiahai couldn't help but chuckle lightly. Don't laugh, this is just an identity arranged by the world consciousness for me. Summer honey orange sauce, don't you think it's ridiculous for the world's tooth-blood ghosts and humans to coexist peacefully? Menya Shi had a serious expression and a disdainful tone. Why? Guang Xiahai was puzzled. Stupid. Menya Shi slapped Guang Xiahai's little head. The relationship between Yashue ghost and humans is like that with wolves and sheep. How could they coexist peacefully? This can only happen in cartoons and fairy tales. Guang Xiahai touched her head but didn't speak. As he was speaking, a strange man dressed in white approached and looked up and down at Guang Xiahai. This beautiful lady, can I come into this coffee shop for a drink? After speaking, he pointed to the photo studio with his finger and gestured to touch her cheek with his other hand. Guang Xiahai glanced at Menya Shi and noticed that he was a bit unhappy. Although he didn't say anything, he still dodged backwards. We're not a CAFA here, this is a photo studio, Guang Xiahai said coldly. Cayman ride punch hopper kick hopper. Menya immediately summoned 2 knights. Punch and kick that person. Dealing with a low-level tooth-blood ghost, these 2 knights are enough. Summer honey orange sauce, let's go. Guang Xiahai ignored the tooth-blood ghost and followed Menya Shi forward. At this moment, in the Dilan castle, 2 tooth-blood ghosts were talking. Prince, he's gone again. Yes, as soon as he mentions his ascension to the throne, he immediately runs away. Xiaodu, let's hurry back to the castle. Do you have any dissatisfaction with ascending to the throne? In a dilapidated apartment, a mechanical bat resembling Kivala danced around a child. The child named Xiaodu didn't speak and didn't know what he was thinking. On a street, Menya Shi was riding a mechanical 10-year buggy, and Guang Xiahai was leaning against his back with his violin when he suddenly heard the sound of the violin. Guang Xiahai handed the violin to Menya Shi and smiled helplessly. There's no need to show off your skills again, right? Shoo, don't speak. Menya Shi covered her mouth. Playing the violin very naturally, before long, Xiaodu in the room was attracted by the mournful and sorrowful sound of the violin. You are the tooth-blood ghost prince. I have a way to make you no longer a king, and tooth-blood ghost cannot harm humans, nor can humans come into contact with tooth-blood ghost. Menya Shi went straight to the theme. Xiaodu felt very strange. How does he know my identity and my thoughts? Suddenly, waves of commotion from the crowd came. Ah, help, this tooth-blood ghost is going crazy. Menya Shi ran out and looked at the chaotic scene, still disdainfully saying, it's a ridiculous delusion for the tooth-blood ghost to coexist peacefully with humans. Henshin, Cayman ride facade. Menya Shi made a decisive decision and immediately transformed. That woman violated the rules first, I'm not wrong. The tooth-bleeding ghost defended himself. Who cares what the reason is for you? I just don't like you. Guang Xiahai's jade arm stopped him and said softly, Ashi, let me do this. Your move is too wasteful. Why don't you give me some practice? After speaking, he picked up Kivala and transformed into the tooth-blood ghost Tata. Xiaodu also chased after him. What exactly are you? Appeared, first death question. Xiaodu looked at Decade with confusion. Oh my god, a Cayman rider who passed by, remember it for me, said Menya Shi with a forced expression. Wow, it's been a while since I said this sentence. Today, someone finally asked me, greater than or equal to less than or equal to. Menya Shi thought of something else in his heart. Decade, you demon, Kivat, come on. As soon as the words fell, Kivat Bat 3 flew out of the apartment window. Xiaodu placed it on his wrist, bit it, and then placed it on his belt. With a flute-like sound effect, he transformed into the Cayman rider Kiva. The people around looked at it and shouted in surprise, it's a king. Oh, look, it's Wang, how weak. This one looks very powerful, but it's not too difficult. Guang Xiahai defeated the tooth-blood ghost, released its transformation, and ran over. Menya Shi saw her coming and asked her to call out Bat Kiva Ia. Hey, Kivat 3, come out and meet your sister. What did she say? At this point, Xiaodu had already lifted his transformation and scratched his head in confusion. Kivala, didn't you say he was the demon who destroyed the world? Actually, I think this is a misunderstanding, Kivala explained. I guess someone should have spread rumors about him. So he's not an enemy, Kiva 3 said helplessly, that's right, and he will also help you. Two bats gathered together and whispered to each other. Kiva 3 returned to Oda and said, he should be a good person, not a demon who destroys the world. Someone should be spreading rumors. Xiaodu understood, lower your head, Smith Marcel. I misunderstood you. Can you really help us? This is a bit polite, of course I have a way, believe us, Menya Shi touched Xiaodu's head. Guangxia Haiyi is on the side road, Ashi, what are you up to? Menya Shi did not answer, just saying to Xiaodu, we will come back tomorrow, let's go quickly, summer honey citrus sauce. Chapter 8. Obtaining living space. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ashi, it seems like we're running out of ingredients at home. Can you come and buy some with me? Guangxia Haiyi led Menya Shi to a street. On both sides of the street are shops, filled with various vegetables and meat. These are all the ingredients she wants to buy back to eat. Number 34, okay, number 34, Ashi nodded and agreed, followed behind her and walked forward. Guang Xiahai turned his head and looked at him. At this moment, Menya Shi looked very excited and excited. Number 34, Ash, why do you look so happy? I have found that my dimensional wall's abilities can be further developed. Then we can stop the conspiracy of the overhaul card team. Guangxia Haiyi's smile is like a flower. Alas, I remember that Yusuke Onodera should have joined the escort team by now. Xiahai looked at Menya Shi with a puzzled expression in his eyes. Saying you're stupid, you're really stupid. Kivala was deceived by you in advance, and I don't have the ability to travel through the world, Menya Shi smiled indulgently. By the way, I remember when I promised her to buy her a cake, and how much money you still have, I only have 500 yen left. Guang Xiahai lifted his head as if thinking of something, his eyes fixed on Menya Shi. Ah. This, I'll find a way. Menya Shi used the dimensional wall to find Xiaodu. Omega, you are indeed very mysterious, Kivat 3 widened his eyes. Well, we may need some more funding, as a prince, you should be able to take it out, right? Without hesitation, Xiaodu took out a card and said, the password is 1 to 6. There are 10 million yen in this card. Menya Shi found Guang Xiahai and bought Yalan's favorite cake, as well as some ingredients cooked in Kanto. You wait for me here first, and we'll go back later. Menya Shi told Guang Xiahai about his plan, then transformed, opened the dimensional wall, and transferred to the far side of the moon. Through space capabilities, he compressed and collected the space here into a bottle, and then erected a sign on the ground, telling later astronauts that the back of the moon was very dangerous. Then they teleported through the dimensional walls to various landscapes on Earth, including oceans, grasslands, mountains, forests, and collected many animals, creating a small world. Finally, blocked the entire space and isolated from the outside world, forming a key. Now this living space is enough for the tooth blood ghosts to use. Menya Shi thought to himself and took Guang Xiahai's hand back to the light photography museum. Ashi, come and eat this fish ball. Guang Xiahai gently grasped the tableware with her green and jade fingers, extended her plump and fair arms, and gently put them into the man's mouth. Hey, Menya Shi, hurry up and read the newspaper. It says on this side that the Tooth Blood Ghost clan is going to have a new king, abolish the rules of harmonious coexistence with humans, and will slaughter humans tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Koichiro pointed to the newspaper and said anxiously. Are you looking at it? I'll just say this is unreliable, right? Menya Shi's gaze fell on the newspaper, which was a picture of the beetle Tooth Blood Ghost forcing the three Garuras to pledge allegiance to him. It also said that the previous king was nowhere to be found, and humans were in a state of panic. It shouldn't have happened. How do I feel like this shouldn't have happened so quickly? Is it a ghost caused by Minglong? The light gradually dimmed, and panicked people struggled to fall asleep with an uneasy mood, and birds no longer chirped. A cloud in the sky drifts silently. In a deserted forest. Minglong stood here, looking straight ahead with a fierce gaze. Decade, you will definitely die this time. Is it okay this time, summer mandarin sauce? I swear I will be gentle, Menya said gently. Guang Xiahai still shook his head in fear. But I'm really angry now. Do you have any way? Looking at Guang Xiahai's tall figure, she wore a black stockings on her legs, with letters on them that resembled elves in the dark night. Her delicate face was adorned with patches of bright red. Menya Shi felt that he couldn't bear it anymore, but Guang Xiahai's movements were faster. Her soft and delicate lips fell on his lips, parted, and the girl pondered for a while. She knelt in front of him, lowered her head towards the unknown, and explored deeply. The next morning, Menya Shi felt refreshed and quickly walked towards the Dilan castle with the still somewhat sleepy Guang Xiahai. It's all your fault, my knees and lips are numb and sore, she complained with her eyes wide open. The awkward Menya Shi didn't say anything and rushed to the scene early to hide with Guang Xiahai. Attack Ride Invisible, this skill can now be applied to groups. At this moment, Xiaodu, who was reported missing in the newspaper, also arrived here, and Menya Shi pulled her and him over. And handed him the key to his living space, and earnestly told him, if you don't want to be king, you can become the representative of the Tooth Blood Ghost in the human world. If this key is stuck with your blood, only you can open it, which can isolate the Tooth Blood Ghost from humans and prevent any more incidents of harm. Moreover, you need to help them communicate and trade with the outside world, so that you won't be so lonely and can make more friends. Upon hearing this, Xiaodu firmly believed, I understand, but before that, I need to defeat that beetle Tooth Blood Ghost. What kind of rebirth and development will this world usher in? The gatekeeper who facilitated all of this thought so. Chapter 9. Great Victory and Abundant Gains. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not long after, the beetle Tooth Blood Ghost led 3 strange people, including Garuru, to come here. Except for a few of them, countless Tooth Blood Ghosts gathered below, causing chaos and disturbance, with deafening voices. Do you need to coexist peacefully with humans? Humans will only treat you as beasts and beasts. They will not treat you as friends or treat you equally. The beetle Tooth Blood Ghost stood high, sounding like a bell. At this moment, he was full of energy and was finally about to realize the great dream of Tooth Blood Ghost ruling the human world. Jelulu, I value your strength very much. Are you submitting to me or not? Garuru the werewolf looked at him with a hint of ferocity in his expression, displeased. We will not betray Xiaodu. Oh, it's quite backbone. But with a single blow from the beetle Tooth Blood Ghost, it pierced through the werewolf Garuru. There was still a hint of disbelief in his eyes. But it's just foolish not to see the situation clearly. The beetle-tooth blood ghost responded helplessly and cruelly, turning to the other two Garuras and saying, "What about you?" They looked at each other and then knelt down on one knee to show loyalty. So, this world should have been a world of the fittest, only the strong are the true kings, and the tooth blood ghosts can finally fully enjoy their food. The beetle-tooth blood ghost madly declared. Xiaodu couldn't help but rush forward and said, "You're not right. Why does the tooth blood ghost have to be enemies with humans? Oh, it turns out you're a hybrid of a human and a tooth blood ghost. No, you're probably a hybrid." Menya Shi said in an arrogant tone, "Since you said the law of the jungle, then we defeated you, which is also correct." Menya Shi and Guang Xiahai walked out and transformed one after another. "My fellow countrymen of the tooth blood ghost, hurry up and serve me." Attack ride inflation. Menya Shi put in his skill card and became a clone of 5 decades. Then, cards for Fist Locust and Kick Locust were placed, and a dimensional wall flashed past. Fist Locust and Kick Locust came up with a punch and kick, attacking the group of tooth blood ghosts and causing a violent explosion. Form Ride Ryuki Survey. Menya Shi, also unwilling to be outdone, transformed into the form of a dragon rider and summoned the Wushuang dragon. The deep red dragon followed the knight's kick, kicking towards the beetle-tooth blood ghost. Then, it ignited a fierce flame, accompanied by a huge explosion. "Oh Gnome Le Decade, I think your stamina should have been exhausted." Minglong summoned a dimensional wall to envelop Menya Shi. With the continuous migration and transformation of space, he has been transported to a wide sports field, above which is the scorching sun. Menya Shi is blinded by the sun above. Suddenly, I saw several figures standing ahead, including Kamen Rider Kaixa, Delta, He Rundong, Heavenly Emperor, Earth Emperor, and 3 Leo Cavalry. Men Yenshi looked at the scene before him, not only did not show a look of fear, but also spoke strangely to himself. "No, I remember that the Heavenly Emperor and the Earth Emperor were decomposed from Delta. How could they both appear at the same time?" As he spoke, the Heavenly Emperor took the lead in launching an attack, using the wings of heaven to switch to firearm mode with an extremely fast firing rate. Menya Shi picked up his card box sword and kept blocking the bullets that flew out. "Forget it, let's just consider it a parallel world," he said, and the Earth Emperor launched the Augustus Slash, which was the strongest of the 5 sets of Kamen Rider armor in the 555 series. Its powerful force made the Men Arrow Warrior somewhat unable to withstand it. Kamen Rider Caesar also wielded his Caesar Cross sword and transformed it into gun mode, catching the high heat energy exploding Minagi off guard. And Delta used the Hammer of the Fallen Angel, making it unbearable for the Menzier to block left and right, and the 3 Leo Cavalry were constantly covering them up, interfering with the Menzier. "No, it seems a bit too forced in this form now, let alone those 2 knights and clones summoning to fight the tooth blood ghost outside." Menya Shi remained calm and focused, constantly unleashing his abilities. Suddenly, a purple light flashed through, and the Decade War ghost form reappeared. The magenta armor emitted a purple glow. The body data has been greatly enhanced, with fist and kick strength even surpassing the data of the strongest Earth Emperor. Menya Shi wiped his long sword and swung forward at an extremely fast speed, just like the king hitting the villain boss when encountering demons, one by one. The battle is becoming increasingly intense. And outside, Kiva 3 pushed a middle-aged man into this castle and shouted, "The old king before the tooth blood ghost has been found." The group of tooth blood ghosts stopped immediately upon hearing this, and Guang Xiahai breathed a sigh of relief. When Xiaodu saw him coming back, tears welled up in his eyes and he rushed forward to ask, "Is that father?" "That's right, I'm your biological father," the middle-aged man sighed and responded. Xiaodu immediately threw himself into his arms, waved his hand, and shouted, "Everyone, stop fighting, stop fighting." What I can say for Xiaodu proves that the tooth blood ghost doesn't need to be enemies with humans. Back then, I fell in love with a human woman here. She was very kind, and when she found out that I was a duck blood ghost, she didn't show any unusual expression towards me. Instead, she cared and comforted me. She believed that the tooth blood ghost was also a part of life on Earth. Why do we have to kill each other? The tooth blood ghosts below whispered to each other, and a newly born one in recent years asked the old tooth blood ghost, "Is this really our former king? I heard he was very powerful, but later married a human and became a traitor to the entire race. Back then, there were rumors that he was a traitor, and I don't know exactly what happened." The old tooth blood ghost shook his head. Xiaodu led his father to the Guangxia Sea and told him, "They helped me, and they also helped us build a huge living space." The middle-aged man's eyes were filled with gratitude. At this moment, it happened that Menya Shi had returned from that space, holding 4 cards in his hand. "Now I finally have enough combat power in my hands," murmured Menya Shi to himself. The father stepped forward and took Menya Shi's hand. "Thank you so much," he said. "If you need any help from us in the future, feel free to come to us." No problem, I just need some of this now, Menya Shi." He chuckled and gestured with his hand to make a gesture of money. "This is 1 billion yen, all the assets I saved up when I retired, now I'll give them to you." The tooth blood ghost king smiled and handed them several bank cards. "Wow! You've made a fortune." Menya Shi's eyes turned into this, Omega. Guang Xiahai pulled up his ears and said, "Can you pay attention to your appearance?" Cue winky face. Menya Shi, who had regained his normal expression, said to Xiaodu, "Now you can use the key to send the tooth blood ghosts into that world." Upon hearing the words, Xiaodu followed suit and all the tooth blood ghosts on the field arrived in another world, about to start a brand new life. At this moment, Minglong's expression, standing in a secluded corner, became serious and angry. "It seems that I underestimated your power, but next time, it will definitely be your funeral. Kivala, come back with us quickly. You are already living in this world." Kiva 3 said urgently. "Sorry, I have already signed a contract with Guang Xiahai and can only travel the world with them, but sometimes I will come back to see you again." Menya Shi and Guang Xiahai discussed on the side, "How about we stay in this world for a few more days so that Kivala can reminisce with his family and friends more?" Menya Shi nodded with a smile. "It seems that we really have a tacit understanding, and that's what I think." The next morning, Menya Shi still woke up very early and wanted to wake up Guang Xiahai. "Summer honey citrus sauce, wake up quickly." Menya Shi grabbed Guang Xiahai's jade hand. "Ashi, let me sleep a little longer. I've finally solved the problems in this world." Guang Xiahai wrinkled his nose, pouted, and muttered drowsily. Menya Shi's heart softened as he looked at her adorable appearance, but then he became tough again. "Last night, who cried and shouted to improve their strength, not to hold me back, and even said they wanted to protect me. The sea was rosy in the summer, so I quickly covered his mouth. All right, I got it. Let's go now. I heard from Xiaodu and his team that there is a special way to improve the strength of the tooth blood ghost in this world, which may also be useful for you. Let's go quickly," urged Menya Shi. Although Guang Xiahai has already left, he is still dragging along very slowly. With the map provided by Xiaodu, Menya Shi and his companions arrived at the forest where the Yashue ghost had previously lived. Following a small path, we arrived at an ancient castle. "Is this the library of the tooth blood ghost?" Menya Shi was unsure. "Such a vast forest, this must be here." Hurry up, said Guang Xiahai, but at this moment, his enthusiasm surged. Among a pile of books, Menya Shi found an ancient book covered in dust and still very old. "Hey! Xiami Gan, maybe this book is useful to you," he called out to the girl not far away who was still searching for books and threw it to her. Is this?" Guang Xiahai quickly asked Menya Shi. "I see that the content above can improve the strength of the tooth blood ghost's bloodline through alchemy and ancient gymnastics," Menya Shi responded to her. "In theory, Menya Shi knows nothing but photography, such as language and writing like Galanki and Yahagi. After returning, Guangxia Haiyi practiced the strange ancient gymnastics according to Menya Shi's translation of books. Yes, that's it. Raise your hand a little higher, it's not high enough, even higher, he carefully guided. Well, this can't be any higher, Ash, are you sure this is gymnastics practiced by humans? Guang Xiahai was skeptical. Don't worry, the book says that this set of gymnastics can be practiced by both humans and tooth-blood ghosts. Even humans without tooth-blood ghost bloodline can greatly improve their physical fitness through repeated practice, and there is absolutely no problem, Menya Shi said confidently. A few hours later, Guang Xiahai was sweating profusely from practicing, and his clothes were tightly attached to his body, outlining a moving curve. I do feel like my strength has improved a bit. I'll just say it, let's go quickly. We'll change clothes and take a shower later. We also have to attend the re-enthronement ceremony of the Tooth-Blood Ghost King. After taking a shower, Guang Xiahai changed into a white dress, and Menya Shi was dressed in a suit. Then, he summoned a dimensional wall, and their hands held each other. So we arrived at the ceremony site. Hurry up, welcome our distinguished guests, a high-end tooth-blood ghost said to the gatekeeper. Welcome to the ceremony where I ascended the throne again and became king. Xiaodu's father was very happy. Damn decade, this time I'll see how you solve it. Minglong grinned strangely as he grinned at the corner of his mouth. At this moment, the ceremony was in full swing, and suddenly, time seemed to be at a standstill, and then it kept flowing back. Menya Shi and Guangxia Haiyi are protected by the power of the dimensional wall, but they are not affected much. However, the previously defeated beetle tooth-blood ghost has been resurrected again, followed by Kamen Rider Odin. This is definitely another ghost caused by Minglong. Menya Shi immediately transformed. Let me try my strength after exercising, said Guang Xiahai with great enthusiasm. I have many knights this time, said Menya Shi with a smile afterwards. He took out a stack of cards and turned himself into 555. Beside him, he summoned Caesar, Delta, the Heavenly Emperor, the Earth Emperor, and the Leopard Cavalry. Now all the knights in the Fui series are gathered together. Afterwards, all the knights on the field took out their weapons and aimed at the Kamen Knight Odin and the beetle-toothed blood ghost. Defense descended at a rate of 1/V/H, and Odin pulled the newly resurrected beetle-tooth blood ghost in front of him. Poor tooth blood ghost disappeared without saying a word. Seize the reading. Odin snatched everyone's weapons again. Survive Rekka has been transformed into a fiery survival form, further enhancing its strength. Since we can't use weapons, said Menya Shi, so only Kamen Ride Kabuto, form Ride Hyper. Menya Shi has transformed into a Hippa Armor Do, and his cards are constantly being strengthened, giving rise to many different forms and attack controls. Then use the power of the dimensional wall to resist the force read by time. Undoubtedly the most powerful Kamen Rider among the Dragon Cavalry. I used so many means, sighed Menya Shi. Uncontrollably, with one finger pointing to the sky, the way of heaven is to manage everything. Then he used Maximum Hyper Typhoon to defeat the Kamen Rider Odin. I have received Odin's card. Menya excitedly raised his hand. Don't forget your pride, Guang Xiahai pushed the corporal. Use the time reading quickly to restore this place to its original state, so that this ceremony can continue normally. Attack ride time reading. The ceremony was successfully completed. Sister, take care of yourself and come back often when you have time, Kiva 3 exclaimed with concern. Knowing my brother, I will definitely come back. Kivala's face was filled with tears. It seems that their relationship has become more familiar, and they have returned to the normal title of siblings, said Menya Shi, looking at the two little bats in front of the photo studio and bidding farewell. Returning to the restaurant, Ranjiro had already prepared dinner, and Xiahai was sitting next to him obediently waiting for the meal to begin. Xiami Gan Jiang, I remember the next world is Dragon Cavalry, you have to be careful. Menya Shi looked at her with concern. No problem, I can't be foolishly wrong this time like before. Chapter 10. Dragon Rider World. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. I didn't expect the strength of the arcade to change so much. It has already collected so many cards, and there are also some unknown abilities. Damn Imperial Cavalry. In the next world, I can only use some unconventional methods to preemptively strike. Uncle Minglong waved his hand to summon the dimensional wall and arrived first in the world of Dragon Cavalry. He first used the technology of the previous major repair card to create several videos, and then invaded various huge screens in the world. In the video, Emperor Qi, as the destroyer of the world, turns the previous world upside down. Human displacement, howling everywhere, corpses scattered everywhere, and cries of agony. What's even more outrageous is that even Guang Xiahai has become a helper. People from all over the world have seen these videos, some find them sensational, while others believe them to be true. The scene on the video is still ongoing. They have arrived in this world. Guang Xiahai was the first to kill the editor-in-chief of Tao Jing, using a cake fork, and then the Emperor Cavalry also arrived, releasing all the monsters and stirring up the world with gunfire, making it restless. Suddenly, the video turned black. Afterwards, Minglong found the unique knight of this world, the Abyssal Cavalry, and the contract beast was the abyssal giant toothed shark. He then used Odin's time ability to kill the Tao Jing editor in the video footage just now. Coincidentally, the Time Photography Museum has also arrived in this world. Inside, Menya Shi was holding hot milk and said, "Summer honey orange sauce, stop practicing, come and have a drink." He said to Guang Xiahai, who was sweating profusely while practicing gymnastics. We still need to hurry up. After all, the materials for alchemy in that ancient book cannot be found in that world. It should have disappeared, and I can only work hard on my own. Guang Xiahai said firmly, taking the hot milk handed by Shi. If you work so hard, then we can definitely rewrite the ending this time. Menya Shi smiled and responded to her. A burst of cries came from Ah-1. Menya Shi suddenly remembered that he had forgotten to wipe off the water that had just spilled on the floor. He quickly ran out, lifted Kagoro Jiro up, and looked up. The curtain had turned into a deep red dragon flying between the cities. Guang Xiahai also saw it when she came out, and she took the opportunity to step out with her long legs. But Menya Shi grabbed her with a single pull. You can stay here forever in this world. But what should you do when you encounter danger? There's no helper around, and I always feel uneasy. Guangxia Haiyi frowned slightly. I'm already very strong. Alright, since you insist on going out, if you see me in danger on TV, you can come find me. After all, once there's a commotion, it can be very big. But remember not to have any contact with anyone else. Menya Shi chuckled lightly, but he thought, how could that be? I'm already so strong. I understand. Guang Xiahai nodded. Menya Shi pushed open the door alone and walked away. His clothes had instantly changed into lawyer attire, and besides a camera, there was also a lawyer's certificate hanging around his neck. It seems that my identity has not changed, so what should I do next? Menya Shi, walking on an open street, suddenly became a little restless for some reason. I don't know why, I always feel like I'm being monitored. Anyway, it's better to avoid causing trouble as much as possible. So he quickened his pace. Suddenly, a group of people surged forward, fully armed and holding machine guns. Number 34, stop. Raise your hands. Then squat on the ground. Don't move. Number 34, they rushed forward with all their might. Menya Shi did not follow suit, just stood in front, quietly watching them. A leading figure suddenly emerged from the crowd, signaling everyone to be quiet. I heard you are Menya Shi, Decade, the destroyer of that world, the man who stood up said slowly. We already know about you, please don't be impulsive. We have some things to talk about. Menya Shi took it for granted. After all, he had been wronged for a long time, including his past life. He carried his hands behind his back and strolled leisurely with relaxed steps, following them. The nearby neighborhood is still quiet and terrifying. with only birds occasionally hovering overhead. The weather hasn't improved much either, the air is damp and makes people's mood very bad. This is an old urban area, with walls on both sides of the street covered with green moss and green-gray weeds, and many abandoned trash cans piled up in the corners. Menya Shi followed the crowd through this place and arrived at a more desolate plain, where there was only a huge strange building and guards at the entrance. "I haven't seen such a building before when I came, have I?" murmured Menya Shi to himself. Then the leading man turned to him and said, "For the safety of this world, please hand over your shape-shifting device and card, which can also avoid a lot of trouble." Menya Shi shook his head but did not agree. The man's face changed and suddenly instructed everyone to lock the door with handcuffs. Menya Shi did not resist either. "What other tricks can you play?" Stepping into the building like this, there was a decoration resembling a courtroom, with many people sitting inside, and it looked like they all had very high social status. "What? This is the Imperial Cavalry that destroys the world, doesn't it look good?" Some people in the crowd whispered to themselves.